mynews.studio.
Leaders in Nice, France, have just celebrated new protections for the ocean. But there's a big question. Will the High Seas Treaty really change how we manage nearly half of the world's waters?
Today is June 30th, 2025. We're diving into the High Seas Treaty, officially called the Agreement on Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction. After more than 20 years of negotiation, the world is on the verge of a binding deal to protect international waters. But why is this suddenly so urgent?
Almost half of Earth's surface is made up of high seas. Those are areas outside any country's borders. They're some of the least regulated parts of the world, exposed to overfishing, pollution, and unchecked extraction of resources. Until now, there hasn't been a comprehensive international law to manage or protect these waters. That's why this treaty stands out.
Things shifted at the United Nations Ocean Conference in June 2025. On the first day, 18 countries ratified the treaty, putting the total at 50. Only 10 more are needed before it becomes official. President Macron even suggested it could be binding by early 2026. After that, there's a 120-day countdown. Then the first conference of the parties, COP1, will meet to set up how it all works.
That's the overview, but let's unpack what the treaty actually covers. The first major piece is creating marine protected areas, MPAs, in international waters. The goal is to protect 30% of the world's oceans by 2030. Unlike a national park at sea, these areas need collective agreement from all member countries. That raises a question. How do countries decide together which areas to protect, how to manage them, and how to enforce the rules? No one country is in charge. No one country is in charge.
Exactly. And that opens up challenges. If every country has a say, does that mean decisions might slow down? And enforcement has always been tricky. Who actually checks that rules are followed out there? And what happens when they're not?
Those are the crucial issues. The treaty creates oversight through international bodies, but making sure countries comply will depend on cooperation, sharing data, and sometimes political willingness. The second main part is controlling harmful activities, like deep-sea mining and unregulated fishing. Some countries worry about the economic consequences, especially those whose industries rely on the high seas.
To tackle that, the treaty uses a consensus approach. It's flexible. No country is forced in, but the idea is to show that healthier oceans and more sustainable resources benefit everyone, even industries. But is that flexibility enough to persuade countries that are still on the fence?
That's where the next two parts come into play. First, sharing benefits from marine genetic resources. Think new medicines, advances in food technology, or biotech innovations from ocean life. The treaty says these benefits shouldn't just go to wealthy nations. There are systems for sharing and for transferring technology, especially to help lower-income countries.
And then there's capacity building, supporting developing countries so they can take part in ocean governance. There will be programs to help them gain the scientific and regulatory expertise needed to have a real voice.
The treaty also requires any large project in international waters, like mining or a big new fishing effort, to go through an environmental impact assessment. That means countries have to study and share the risks before moving forward.
So, where does this go from here? With just 10 more countries needed, the treaty is close to becoming real. But there are still questions about enforcement and funding. Will major fishing and shipping nations really cooperate? And can international oversight stop violations, or will some countries just ignore the rules?
There's some skepticism, but also real momentum. High-level diplomacy, financial incentives, and technology support are all in play to encourage more countries to ratify. That first COP1 meeting, once the treaty is active, will be vital for setting the rules and making sure everyone's committed.
This treaty is bigger than just ocean protection. It's a test of whether countries can come together to manage a shared resource. If it succeeds, we could see big changes for marine biodiversity, climate regulation, even food security. If it doesn't, what does that say about our ability to cooperate on global problems.
Thanks for joining us as we explored the High Seas Treaty. Can this wave of hope turn into real change? We appreciate you listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Try it now for free.